What's going on, traders? Welcome back to the LPR Trading YouTube channel. Today what I want to do is I want to go over a few of the trades that I took today on the market. ES, I traded the minis today, so I was sized up a little bit, but that really doesn't matter. We're just trading how we know how to trade. We're trading our setups, we're trading our plan, we're planning everything out in the pre-market, and we're going forward and trading exactly what the market gives us. We're adapting as the market is ironing itself out, and we're remapping or refining our plans along the way. But the big picture is we have a plan and we trade off that plan. And if the trades work out, the trades work out. If they don't, they're bound to work out tomorrow or the next day. The idea of trading is to get yourself into high probability situations over and over and over again. And that's what pays in the long run. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to share my Discord screen with you for a second. This is our intraday discussion page right here where I talk about some of the trades as they're playing out. I did a lot of talking in the day trading room today as opposed to the intraday discussion room. But what I did was I sent out a pre-market plan here, and I want to look at our pre-market plan. I did make a typo here, but I think most of the members here understood, knowing that ES only moves in ticks of 25 cents here. We had supply. Market is making a new all-time or a new age high, so after hour supply at 4,418.75 after a nice push down. This gives us an area to look for sellers into this area for potential shorts down to the DZ. So the DZ was down at 4,377.75, which gives us a great trade actually from supply down to DZ. So we're actually looking for traps into that supply zone to get shorts and push the market down to the demand zone. Unfortunately, it didn't happen right in the morning today, but it did happen later in the day, and I will go over that trade. So first off, let's start with the charts here. Now, what I'm going to show you is, I'll actually we'll go to this chart here. So what I'm going to show you here is the market opened. Now, what do I have on my chart in terms of indicators and whatnot? I don't have much because I don't really use much. I use a couple EMAs on the 1 minute chart that I don't pay a ton of attention to, but they're just there for some back end guidance. My primary indicator is going to be the 15-minute initial balance high here and low, which is marked up by this pink box. So that's the range of the first 15-minute candle. That gives me an idea of what the market is wanting to do during this and after the price discovery phase. I have our supply zones marked on the top, our demand zone marked on the bottom, and of course I draw in some very obvious trends that are being plotted out intraday, as well as bigger picture trends that are being plotted out from the previous days that will likely run into today. Now the first trade I took here was, zoom in a little bit more. The first trade I took here was a short right off this area. Now why did I take this short? This is a play out of our playbook or out of our course. This is a TZ play over high of day. I use Jigsaw and it's big into order flow. So once price comes up and we break high of day, and I can see a lot of buy pressure coming through high of day, but price is stalling out here and not moving to the upside, it means sellers are taking control and there is some absorption of shares or contracts up in this area. Sellers take control and push price down. I get short immediately as soon as I see the absorption happen. So my average was somewhere in this area and I was risking the high as soon as we got right back below this trap zone. I took a partial down in down at this pivot low right here, and then I got all out into low of day, which ended up being the 15-minute initial balance low. As soon as I got out of that trade, I realized that the exact same thing that happened up here began to happen down here on the low of day break. Now I'll tell you right now, a lot of bad retail, they're buying high of day breaks and low of day breaks. This is great opportunity to get in on the opposite side of the trade. Does it always work? No. Do we have an edge doing this? Yes. Is there more to it than just fading a high of day or low of day break? Yes. We explain all of this in our Discord room, in our course, over and over and over. And this is a setup we talk about every single day, and we trade every single day. So after getting this short up here off the highs, covering our last piece down here, we see some absorption here from buyers down at the lows. I actually get long, stop low of day. I take this thing up. I took a quick partial here, and then we got out the rest up in this area, which was a previous day POC. It was also where all of this congestion was sitting around. What is POC? It's a point of control. Okay, so it's a point of control, and I believe that was from previous day or the after hours session. So once we got out of this trade, what happened once again? We broke through high of day, We failed to follow through on the ask side or the buy side of the market. We failed to follow through. Sellers are absorbing, buyers are giving up. Sellers come in, apply pressure. I could not get this trade right away. I told the chat actually I would not take this. We had already trapped the highs once. It's not likely that we trap the highs again. I was sort of expecting something like this and then a push into supply, and I actually drew that out in the room. You probably saw the pictures when I pulled the screen up. Let me pull it back here. So I drew this out here. This is actually what I wanted to see. I wanted to see a push up through the highs into supply, and then we could get a really good short off supply. It didn't happen. One of our biggest traits as a trader is being able to adapt to the market and current market conditions, whether that is over the course of a week, a day, a month, or in the current moment. We have to adapt as traders. Now, the trade that I did take to the short side here, actually, as soon as we failed and proved that we were failing, we come back into this area, and this area right here is looking like buyers want to take control. We're really selling off and pushing back up, selling off and pushing back up. So typically, if the street is looking to do a certain thing, or if something is looking very obvious like this, like, oh, we're going to form a higher low here, we're looking very strong in these candles. If we start breaking out, it's going to be a long. If it's that obvious, it's usually the opposite. So as soon as we start failing on this candle right here, I get a short in this area. My stop is above this area, which is where buyers would have taken control and pushed the price of ES up. I get short, and we take this thing down, and I take everything off at low of day for a nice scalp. Now, that was a good runner for a scalp. We probably made 2.5, 3R on that trade, so that was a great scalp back down to low of day. Once we broke low of day, what was I looking at? I saw price started stalling up here for a little while, and if you guys can see, I had this trend line drawn in right here. So this really nice trend line from the after hour session, big picture trend line. If you go to a chart like the 5-minute chart, for example, you can see this super clear. We've got a super clear trend line here holding higher lows before this big move to the upside. So I'm looking for this trend to hold, and I'm not looking for any wild trades off this trend. I'm just looking for it to hold and maybe push back into low of day, and we could get a nice quick scalp back to low of day. Now, it actually blessed us with a bigger trade than that, and that's fine. We actually took that for a little bit of a ride, and we covered into the opening range lows here. But what did I do? As soon as price pushed down here, we got choppy, 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 consolidation. We look like we were trying to break lows here. Now, if sellers are in fact in control, sellers are just going to break the lows and continue pushing to the downside. As soon as they start making new lows here, and they can't push down, we immediately shove back up. I got long somewhere in this area. I put my stop at low of day. Price started flying, and we ended up getting some out here, and I believe there was some out here at the opening range low, or the rest out here at the opening range low. It went a little bit further, but we're never going to bottom and top tick every trade. We essentially have to take what the market gives us, and the saying is, if you can get 50% of the move on 50% of your size, you did really good. I'll tell you one thing about trading. If you lose, it sucks. If you win, it sucks. Well, losing is obvious. If you lose, it sucks because you lost money. If you win, it sucks as a trader because you could have gotten more. You're happy in that moment. You made a great trade. You've got some realized P&L on the table, and then you just watch the trade play out in your direction, and you get really upset. This is a super toxic trait to new traders, and if this is you, or you've ever felt like this is you, you need to get rid of this trait. If you've ever felt like this in trading, I'd like you to comment down below actually and let me know. Maybe we could have a chat about it. We could iron a few things out for you and fix some things up. Now, the last trade, I did not take this trade. I was not at the computer at this time, but we did have a run all the way back to high of day, which was right here. We ran all the way back to high of day, and what do? We set in our very nice TZ play again. We got a big push on buyers right here, right into the supply zone, which is our TZ play. Buyers get stuffed by sellers. The absorption happens again. We start the roll. We can get short up in this area. You can wait for more confirmation down here to get short. All in all, it didn't matter where you got in on this trade, to be honest with you. It turned out to be an amazing trade. If we look how this played out, your ultimate target on a trade like this, if you wanted to leave a lotto position running, could have been demand, could have been opening range or 15-minute initial balance lows, could have been opening range lows. First target for me probably would have been somewhere in these lows or these lows. But all in all, it's a really great trade, and I'll tell you right now, what you guys have to work on is when you get into a good trade like this, off what you think is the highs into a supply zone or lows into a demand zone, always be sure to leave at least 10% of your position to run, either to a major target or to end of day. You'd be surprised how many times they get there, and you'll be really, really surprised at how well they pay when they do get there. So with that one, this video, thank you guys all for joining, and we'll see you on the next one. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. I will review every single comment that's commented down there, and we'll definitely have a chat. Take care.